Happy Monday, everybody. So today I want you to look at the new slideshow and do all of the lessons for Monday. So just really quickly, I'm going to go through them so you have an idea of what we're working on this week. Sorry I couldn't be there today to kind of get you started, but as promised, this week we are writing a thematic essay, meaning we are writing an essay all about the theme that is in our book club book. So today, on Monday, I want you to create an outline. Even if you haven't finished your book, you can still do this. Tomorrow, we will be flash drafting. On Wednesday, we'll be elaborating, meaning we'll be beefing it up. And then on Thursday, we will talk about counterclaim and rebuttal and how to do that with a literary essay. Also, don't forget your lit work and your reading plus and power up. So let's begin. I will let you do the bell ringer on your own, but today's question is, why do authors bury their theme in a story? So just think about that. Use this graphic over here to respond. When you're ready, you can move on. So today you are just learning how to write a thematic essay. So I have a couple of examples. Actually, I have one example from Refugee, my book. What I have here is the outline that I created and then also the actual thematic essay. So we're going to look at the outline first. This is what your job is today, is to plan out what am I writing about. So you'll notice that an outline is basically just kind of a bulleted list of what's going to go into my writing. So I have it broken down into each paragraph with an introduction and a conclusion. So what I want you to do is I want you to kind of pay attention to what I'm doing here in my outline. So for today on your slide, I actually have kind of the rough outline for you. You just have to plug information in. So for example, in your introduction, you want to do a quick summary of your book. Really, it's kind of like an overview. So what is the setting? What's the conflict? Who are the characters? Just kind of this general overview. And then most importantly, you want to mention the theme. Here's the theme that I'm going to be talking about that I've noticed as it's grown throughout my text. So remember last week we were talking about how when we looked at all of those different plot events in Refugee, that we noticed the theme was something like you must persevere through hard times. Okay, so that's the theme that I'm going to be defending. So everything else that goes into this needs to support that theme. It needs to be, here is all the times that I saw that theme come up. So I started by talking about Joseph's character traits, right? So it shows that he was brave, but also kind of naive and reckless. And I gave specific sections from the text that showed that. Then each of my body paragraphs kind of go into, in the beginning of the story, here's where he's starting to show bravery in these different parts. In the middle, here's where he's continuing to show bravery. He's kind of maturing. Then we have the climax, the turning point, where something dramatic changes, where he's probably has to show off his bravery a lot. Then I have my counterclaim and rebuttal, and then my conclusion. So at the resolution or at the end of the story, here is how I really saw that theme play out. So I'm not going to read through this because I want to actually read my thematic essay to you guys. So I want you to hear what a theme essay sounds like. So I'll click on that one. And I'm just going to read this to you and just kind of listen and pay attention to it. And this is a great model for you to go back to and look at if you're stuck writing your own. Alan Gratz's Refugee takes place amid the Holocaust, primarily set on a boy ship traveling from Germany to Cuba in 1939. Joseph, a young Jewish refugee, is charged with protecting his family, younger sister Ruthie, his mother and father, on their voyage to find a new home. The story begins as Joseph's father, Aaron Landau, is being taken by Nazi soldiers for breaking the law. Joseph, his mother, and younger sister Ruthie are left guessing if they'd ever see him again. 6 months later, Joseph learns that his father will be released from the concentration camp where he was sent. He was given 14 days to leave the country. His mother, Rachel Landau, books passage on the SS St. Louis with hopes of safe travels. Throughout his journey, Joseph teaches us that you must persevere through hard times and that your family is your home. So notice in my introduction, it's just a brief overview of what's happening in the book and that theme that I'm now going to defend and show where I've seen that happen. Early on in the story, we notice that Joseph is incredibly brave and perhaps a bit naive. He tries, without success, to fight against the brown shirts, taking his father. He leaped to his feet, grabbed the arm of one of the men carrying his father, and tried to pull him off. Later, Joseph rebels against his forced interior status when he removes his Star of David armband to walk into the German portion of the train. He realizes a little too late the danger that his recklessness could have caused his family. While both of these actions undoubtedly require courage, they're also marked with the traits of immaturity and not considering the potential consequences. As Joseph adjusts to life outside his home he once knew, he realized how quickly he must grow up. His father, traumatized by his experience in the concentration camp, is in no shape to lead his family. Thus, Joseph reluctantly takes up this responsibility. He has his bat mitzvah while on the SS St. Louis, ceremonially sending him into adulthood. On the same night, he chooses to do the mature thing and refuses to participate in a prank that boatmates Evelyn and Renata are planning. In fact, he scolds them and insists that they tell a steward to unlock the bathroom stalls. Not only does he show maturity among his friends, but also takes charge of his family. When the Cuban medical examiner arrives on the ship, Joseph slaps his father to break him out of his panic and get him to pass the examination. However, this doesn't last long before Joseph must take over again and care for Ruthie when his mother sedates herself as his father jumps overboard. He tells Ruthie, "Stay here with Mama and don't leave the cabin. Understand? I've got to find Papa." This is a huge burden to be placed on a 13-year-old, but Joseph rises to the responsibility to take care of his family. So notice how I'm going through my book, beginning, middle, a little further, end. And I'm just reinforcing every time I see that Joseph is having to overcome these obstacles. He's having to persevere through hard times, okay? So I'm really just trying to show that here is all the events that are happening in story and how I'm seeing this theme play out. So I'm not going to read the rest to you. You can go ahead and read that. It's got some spoilers in it. It's going to give away the end of the story, but that's totally fine since we are supposed to be done with our first book at the end of this week. So your job today is to create an outline for your thematic essay. So on this slide, you can either type directly in it, or it might end up getting really long and kind of running off the slide, and that might bother you. So you can copy and paste this into a different doc if you want to, but basically that you're going to say, here is the theme I've been seeing throughout this whole book. It has been developing from the beginning, middle, end of my book. And then you need to be finding those sections in your book that support that for your body paragraphs. So this is a pretty straightforward outline. If you get stuck, feel free to email me. I might be able to give you a little bit of guidance, but just know that tomorrow we are going to take this outline and we are going to type an entire draft. So please make sure that you spend a bulk of your time today working on this outline, but also know that you need to meet your reading goals because your book is due this week. And you might want to work on Reading Plus, especially for those of you who are missing some that need to get caught up. All right, so if you have any questions, just send me a message.